Hey there everyone, today I've got answers to lots of your questions that you've asked me not too long ago. This Q&A session is a thank you for hitting 40,000 subscribers on YouTube, so thank you for that. Let's get right into things. Ivan VZM asks, if you were to come up with the concept of a new Titan, how would it be? Name, gimmick, weapons, abilities, core, etc. I honestly don't feel like I'm a particularly creative person. I like working on and evaluating balance, mechanics, that sort of thing. Flavor, fluff, whatever you want to call it, is not really my cup of tea. As a corollary, I like Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't care too much for actually playing it. I just love crunching and poring over numbers, stats, and combinations of mechanics that I feel could be cool. So in that light, I've prepared two answers to this. One is lazier, but while being lazier is longer and a lot more feasible to actually happen, while the other is something that I put together just for this question that's a little bit more ambitious, but is a little bit smaller in scope just because, again, I don't really feel like I have that creative spark. So here we go. The first one is Vanguard from Titanfall 2 single player, no surprise there. Respawn has been nothing short of phenomenal in turning Titanfall 2 into a game of fan service through and through. Many of the major hanging points people had from the first game were addressed in Titanfall 2 in spades. However, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others, they stumbled when reducing the customization options available to Titans. In marrying these two ideas together, I think it's possible to create a Titan with a little bit more customization options than others. In my eyes, Vanguard would not have access to all Titan abilities in the game like it would have in single player. For its defensive ability, I would give Vanguard a shield that does not recharge, and its defensive ability is actually an activatable ability that powers up your shield by X amount, and it becomes available off of cooldown every Y seconds. I mean, the amount and the time are kind of irrelevant for this discussion, but it will basically be you have to manually keep your shields charged up. So you can choose to let them expire and then power them back up. You can't overcharge them past a certain point, so if you have the cooldown ready, you take a sniper shot to the chest from a railgun, for example. You can then instantly after the fact, as a reaction, pop your shields back up to protect your critical hit points and give yourself a little bit of an extra life bar. It could be kind of cool. Technically, Vanguard Titans have 9,000 health and 1,000 shields, at least according to game files, compared to Tone and Ion's 10,000 health each. Now, I might drop Vanguard's health to be 7,500 as an equivalent to both Northstar and Ronin, but the potential for repeated shield regenerations could bring the health levels up to where you would expect for a Titan that's supposed to be somewhere between Strider and Atlas classes. For the Vanguard's tactical ability, I would give it both of the single-player exclusive weapons, both the chain gun and the quad rocket. Your tactical ability is weapon swap. Titans with two weapons used to be a thing back before Titanfall 1 even came out, appearing in Titanfall 1's E3 reveal trailer if my memory serves correctly. So this would allow Respawn to finally realize that idea in multiplayer. For Ordnance, I'd honestly just keep the multi-target missiles from campaign. I'd remove their ability to target pilots and give them preference for locking on to Titans over any other target. Maybe letting them target minions would be too much, I'm not sure, but it's worth exploring, if nothing else. As for a core ability, there's a few possibilities that I've thought through. First, you could give Vanguard a custom core selectable by using your Titan-specific kits. This idea is very reminiscent of selecting your ultimate ability in Heroes of the Storm. So for example, in that game you hit level 10, you can choose one of two, or in some cases 3 different ultimate abilities for your hero. It'd be kind of neat if Respawn would take that same approach for one of their Titans in this game, since they're going for that whole hero aspect anyways. You might as well embrace it if you're going to go for it. So basically, instead of having 5 different kit selections, maybe you'd only have 3 and just choose the core ability that you want. This could mark the return of Titanfall 1's core abilities instead of the nuke everything ultimate moves like most Titans currently have. It'd be a return to what I feel is a more proper form of Titan, and I'd love to see the ability to choose between dash, damage, and shield cores. As an alternative, you could implement burst core from single player. Nothing would really change for the chain gun, and it's kind of neat that it could be limited by the fact that you're forced to constantly be firing and walking forward while using it. That could actually be detrimental to you at times, which is probably necessary given how powerful burst core could be in multiplayer. You could have this core also apply to quad rockets, firing them at full auto with a bottomless magazine, or simply force Vanguard to switch to the chain gun whenever Burst Core is activated. As a third option, which is probably the most ridiculous of them all, I've talked briefly about a copy core with some people in Discord over text a few times in the past. Basically, you could scan an opposing Titan and copy their core ability. This would retain Vanguard's versatile nature from the single-player campaign. I've even had talks with people on removing the weapon swap ability, removing the shield mechanic, and making the tactical ability a scan target ability, which allows you to steal their defensive ability as well as their core. While I'm not a huge fan of this technique as it's kind of contrived, it's absolutely a possibility. I would imagine that porting Vanguard over to multiplayer with some changes would be much easier than developing a brand new Titan from scratch, as I'm about to go through, because again, you guys asked, so here we go with my terrible ideas. My idea for a totally new Titan is much more basic than this Vanguard talk, and it's nowhere near as fully thought through. Basically, the idea is based around the new gravity and phase mechanics in Titanfall 2, and is kind of an awkward amalgamation of them. It could have a gravity well ability similar to a gravity star, but with a bigger area of effect and some disruption on Titans as well. Its primary might be an offshoot of the quad rocket, firing phase rockets. So how this would work is you would fire a salvo of rockets as per normal with your primary fire. Once the rockets are in air, you can press and hold the aim down sights button to phase them out of existence, and then release the button to return them to the material world. This would allow you to fire through particle walls, through vortex shields, or even through teammates. There would be plenty of skill involved trying to get these rockets right on target, and there's something to be said about forcing your opponents to take damage, even if they're playing hard to not take any at all. I haven't really given it much more thought than that, but maybe it could be neat. Next up, Jacob Branflakes and Ham has asked me, why is my channel called FrothyOmen? Xbox Live gave me this name over a decade ago, and I've just never bothered to change it. Honestly, I don't even like the name at all. I feel like it's kind of cringeworthy and it's just overall weird. I don't feel confident saying, my name is FrothyOmen. I don't know, I just feel like a freaking weirdo. Really, it's way too late for me to change it though. So I'm stuck with it forever, so I gotta deal with it, I guess. Sir Froggy asks, who is best grill? Honestly, best grill is kind of a big question. So what are the bounds of your question here? Are we talking within Titanfall, or within gaming, or anime, or all media? If we're talking about Titanfall only, then Gates is kind of the only answer. If we're talking anime, then I have a few weird and probably terrible choices by most people's metrics. Haruko from Fooly Cooly is an easy choice, just because I'm a huge fan of Fooly Cooly as a show. I also watched some really terrible body swap anime a while ago called Kokoro Connect, and there's this girl named Inaban from that show who was pretty dope. Best grill in real life is easily Milana Vaintrub, absolutely no questions asked. You're welcome. Josh Ladd asks, what do you think about Rainbow Six Siege? Siege is growing on me, and the more and more that I play it, I'm starting to love the fast, aggressive playstyles afforded to me by characters like Sledge. Honestly, anyone that can smash through walls and change the dynamics of fights in an instant are great in my eyes. It's fun being fed information by other players, building out in your head where enemies are located, and then executing and catching them out of position. You do have to play really slow and lame a lot of the time, which kinda sucks, and this prevents me from spending too much time on the game. However, there's some really fun moments that happen every now and then which keep me interested enough to play the game one day a week or so. There's also the fact that I'm ranked extremely low at the moment, so it's hard to have an intelligent opinion of the game if I'm not playing it at a high level. It would not be fair of me to evaluate it while not understanding it. Eric Hudson asks, if you could make a new pilot, what would be the ability? I'd honestly love to have concussion grenades as a tactical. 0 damage, just throw them at a point, they detonate on impact, and have a strong pushing force emanating from their center. Similar to Gravity Star Boost for example, but without the self-damage and much less overall velocity gain. You could use it either to boost yourself or to mess up your opponents. I think it could be, well, pretty cool. Luke, or Luke Q, I'm not sure, asks, how did you get into gaming and what was the first game that you ever played? I've been playing games for pretty much as long as I can remember. I've got a terrible memory, admittedly. I couldn't quite tell you what my first video game was or what got me into it initially. I can tell you that my first system was probably a Sega Genesis, and some of my earliest memories are playing Sonic the Hedgehog, as well as a Virtual Boy over a neighbor's house. Pokemon Red and Blue were also some staples of mine, so my gaming career started off very early. I can't quite nail down when exactly or with what, but I think that Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Genesis is probably a good start. Frankie Fernandez asks, Frothy, I have a question. I'm a competitive LTS player and I'm trying to use Scorch. Does the Wildfire Launcher seem worth it? In my opinion, it's really hard to justify using anything that's not Inferno Shield. However, with that said, if you're playing very far back with Scorch, then Wildfire Launcher isn't a terrible option. If memory serves correctly, Scorch's Thermite Launcher drops 2 big gobs of Thermite whenever it strikes a target. With Wildfire Launcher, it simply drops a third. This is great for firing at high walls or other pieces of cover, letting you rain some Thermite down on top of a target that you might otherwise not be able to see. It's a weird tactic that you can do without the kit, but it's definitely something. I've also noticed that the third gob of Thermite seems to have a much higher chance of sticking to your target while using Wildfire Launcher. I've seen direct hits do upwards of 2,000 damage with this kit, which is completely nuts. It doesn't seem very consistent though, so I really just don't know for sure how good it actually is. I personally value having double shield capacity with 50% extra damage guaranteed over the possibility of dealing extra damage with the launcher. Fire asks, I have a question for you. Do you believe in free will? If so, can you explain how you have full control over your actions? If not, do you believe in predestined events? Also, are you a dog or cat person? So that went from like 100 to like 0 in a second. So let me break that down. I do believe in free will. I believe that everyone has, well, they have the potential to make their own choices for themselves. They can choose at any one moment in time to do any one thing. Now, whether or not they can achieve that is something different entirely, but, you know, we're all just a huge bag of of chemicals and reactions and electricity flowing through our neurons through our body. You're getting into like the philosophy of like what defines the soul and what defines will and what defines, you know, freedom and this and that. And I don't know, I've never taken a philosophy class, so I guess I don't really understand how to speak to those things in any sort of an intelligent way, but I don't feel that there is some sort, well, I guess I could say that I do kind of feel there is some sort of guiding force for people. There are instincts that everyone has. I mean, you can't ignore your instincts, the things that are ingrained into you that you're built with, that you need to reproduce. Well, maybe not everyone has that feels that need, but the vast majority of humanity feels the need to reproduce. The vast majority of humanity feels the need to protect themselves, and some, in many cases, to protect other human beings as well. I mean, it's just compassion and survival, by whatever means necessary, seems to be, you know, a little bit beyond our free will. I mean, we can will ourselves to ignore those things, but it's very difficult, but it's still within the realm of possibility to have control over those things. So, yeah, I believe in free will. Sometimes it's difficult to have. It's not an easy thing, but it's something that I think is for real, yeah. I guess just to reiterate on those other questions, I don't really believe in a predestined event, no. I believe in, again, like I said, instincts. I believe that people are more predisposed to behave in certain ways, but given enough work and effort, they can overcome them. And moving to the other question, yes, I am a dog person. I'm okay with cats. I'm not a huge fan of owning a cat. I can appreciate other people's cats. I think cat pictures are cute. I think cat gifs are cute. But I'm not sure that I would want to own a cat myself. I don't really care about cats too much, at least in terms of owning one. They don't have that companionship for me. If I'm going to have an animal, I'm going to spend all this money and effort on maintaining an animal. I would like to have the companionship that a dog would provide me. Cats would not really do that. They don't really care about me as an individual. They just want me to feed their bowl, and maybe I can pet them exactly 3 times before they bite me and run away. So, I don't know. Not a big fan of cats. I can appreciate pictures, but that's it. Dogs are like the only way to go. Casual King asks, what would you say is the hardest part about making a video? Is it the writing, testing, research, editing, something else? Well, each individual part of making a video isn't necessarily hard by any means. Script writing takes a bit of time, but it's not really a difficult process. Testing is mind-numbing and boring, and makes you feel bad because you have to bother some poor soul to stop having fun for a while so they can be your test dummy. It's definitely not hard, though. Research falls under the same category as testing. It's monotonous, but not usually a difficult task. Usually something is either easily testable or it's not. If there's ever a situation that you need to get supremely complex with, it's probably not that worthwhile of information in a lot of cases anyways. It's just not something that it's going to really matter to people or change the way they're going to play. I mean, it might matter to people, but it's not going to change how they play, so what's the point? My least favorite part of the process has got to be editing. I'm sure that over the past few years, you see my video editing become more and more simple with time. I used to get a lot more creative, but honestly, keyframing and throwing all these special effects in my videos is just not worth the effort to me. I'm going to be totally transparent with you guys. My time is valuable to me, and adding special effects to my videos does not significantly increase my viewership, my retention, or the money I make from making videos. People's enjoyment of my videos and what they learn from my videos remains nearly identical so long as I hit the bare minimum and include at least some text on screen to help with some more difficult trouble spots. The main focus for me then is on improving my script writing abilities, improving upon delivery of my scripts, and keeping a handful of video clips that are 100% on topic and on time with what I'm talking about in the voiceover. For example, in the tone video that I just did, I have a section where I talk about the particle wall in great depth, and every clip in that section shows off a very particular situation to really drive home what it is that I'm talking about. So that's where the difficulty lies. It's keeping all of my recordings organized and making sure that they fit into the right places with some voiceover. It's not hard work by any means. I just don't like doing it, and that is unfortunately starting to really show in some of my videos. I hope to improve upon this in the future because production value is important to me, and I do really need to step it up if I want to continue being successful, making videos and helping people on YouTube, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. I think I need to get a little bit better at it, and I need to bite the bullet just a little bit more to continue improving, because after all, we're about relentless improvement here, and being complacent about my channel is not relentlessly improving, and that's not a good thing, so it's something I definitely need to work on in the future. Next up, we've got good old Jaredude. Jaredude says that, I recall I saw on Twitter that you recently bought your first home living by yourself. Do you have any general tips when shopping for homes? Also, congrats on 40K. Keep making these excellent guide videos. Much love. God bless. Thank you, Jaredude. I appreciate that very much. Unfortunately, this home that you're talking about ended up falling through for me. I had an inspection done, which revealed some very expensive problems with the property that I wasn't aware of when making my offer on the house, so I ended up walking away from the deal. The sellers were not willing to negotiate price any further with me, and it didn't end up being worth the extra cash to fix, at least not to me anyways. I've been looking for a house for almost a year now, and I've learned a lot about myself in the process. I've learned what I really value in my day-to-day life, where I'm willing to compromise, and where I'm not. I've reinforced that I'm very cheap, and that I'm also not the fastest learner in the world. I've reinforced that I am, in general, also scared of commitment. Combine that with being cheap, and I'm sure you can see why I've had troubles finding a house that I want to buy for $1 billion frickin' dollars. Like, yeah. My advice would be to first identify neighborhoods and home qualities that you like. Do you want a ranch? Do you want something with 2 or 3 stories? Do you want a basement? Are you a really tall individual? And if so, will you even fit in a house like a Cape Cod with pitched ceilings on the 2nd floor? Will you fit in the basement of a home built in the 70s or sooner? Does a school district matter to you? Is it worth higher taxes and home prices to you to live in a smaller house in a nicer neighborhood versus buying a bigger house in a lesser neighborhood with lower taxes? How much yard work do you want to do, and are you comfortable with owning, operating, and maintaining a tractor, snowblower, and other equipment to keep up your home? How much are you willing to spend a month on services to keep your home running smoothly if you don't want to do everything yourself? For example, I have an irrational fear of ladders. I don't feel safe climbing a ladder no matter how secure it is. I don't like being on roofs. I don't want to climb on my roof to clean some stupid leaves out of my stupid gutters just to fall off and break my neck and die an embarrassing lonely death. I would much rather spend a little bit of money to have a guy come out and take care of that for me so I don't gotta deal with it. I also don't really want to have to spray my house for insects and lay out insect traps. I would rather pay a guy to come out and do that for me. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is you need to evaluate the costs of services like that and figure out if it's worth it for you to buy a house and get a few services or if you should buy property in a homeowners association where all that stuff is taken care of for you for a monthly fee. Don't gotta worry about mowing your lawn, don't gotta worry about shoveling the snow, it's all just done for you and you don't have to worry about it. There might be a reserve fund that you have to pay into for doing roofs and stuff, but that's not a huge deal. I could go on this topic, so I'm gonna try and cut it short at that. But there's just so much that goes into it, as you can tell. My last bit of advice would be to figure out a budget that feels comfortable for you, then go about 10% higher of that. Think bigger than what you think you can afford now. Take the risk. Feeling comfortable in life is one of the worst things possible. You should always be under at least a little bit of pressure. It keeps you honest and constantly striving for more as a human being. Next up, we have Yof Overshoes, who asks, what were your reasons for starting to do YouTube? Are you happy you made this decision? And what do you expect from the future of this channel? Now, I wanted to feature this question in particular since it hits on some good topics that I otherwise wouldn't have had a good excuse to really talk about. So first, I started with YouTube because I saw a few niches for videos that nobody else was filling. Back in the good old days, I played a lot of Mortal Kombat 9, and I loved a character in that game called Smoke. I made a lot of very, very terrible videos showing optimal combos and setups with Smoke, recorded with my laptop's webcam pointed at a 23-inch TV screen. Absolutely abysmal quality, but it allowed me to convey some really cool ideas to people, and mechanically they were sound and useful. As I got more comfortable with making those videos, I started talking over them to help me get across some complicated points more readily. Once I got comfortable with that, Titanfall 1 came out, so I switched to a real video editor so I could take multiple small clips and piece them together instead of doing everything in one take. I could also lay down some voiceover with Windows Movie Maker as well as adding text events, so that was pretty dope as well. My goal was always to teach people things and help them understand things in areas that no other content creators were already helping. I've never really been that good at what I do, but I'm pretty much the only one doing it, so you guys are stuck with me whether you like it or not. That's kind of what my channel thrives on. I am indeed quite happy I chose to pursue these things. It's taught me a lot about the wonderful worlds of production, and lately I'm learning some tidbits of proper acting as well. Creating videos has helped me to become a more well-rounded person in a lot of ways. It's helped me to learn some organizational skills I otherwise wouldn't have, and it's allowed me to make a lot of friends that, again, I otherwise wouldn't have. I'm pretty awful at being a real-life human being outside of the internet, so getting better at speaking into a microphone, into a vacuum, and learning some acting techniques have slowly but surely been improving my ability to become a functional adult. I work a lot outside of YouTube and Twitch and spend most of my time not at work doing YouTube and Twitch, so I'm really not developing myself socially like at all. If nothing else, I'm helping myself to maintain at least some fundamentals while being a recluse, while at the same time helping you guys to improve at video games or to at least share in the enjoyment that they can provide. As for the final part of that question, well, I'm not sure about the future of this channel. Titanfall 2 isn't going to last a whole lot longer for me. If you've been watching my Twitch streams lately, you'll know that I've been enjoying the game less and less with every day that I play. I'm very hopeful that the upcoming Livefire patch will improve my perceptions of the game and breathe some fresh life into it. Beyond Titanfall though, I really just don't know. By the time this video is released, you'll probably have seen a little test video about Doom that I've put out. I don't know how well it'll be received, or if it's a style of content that people really want to see. Probably not, but you know what? At the same time, I sort of don't care, and I'm happy to put something out on a game that's just not Titanfall related. I might do some videos on Rainbow Six Siege, maybe? Who knows? I'm definitely going to be doing some coverage of Mass Effect Andromeda, so come join me on Twitch if you want to hang out as I play through the story mode. I really liked the multiplayer aspect of Mass Effect 3, so I hope that I can help some people out in Andromeda's multiplayer as well. Anyways everyone, that's going to do it for this time. That was a lot of questions, and this video lasted a lot longer than I thought it inevitably would. So I hope that you guys enjoyed, and maybe I can do more of these in the future if people really want? I don't know, who knows? As a quick clerical note before I leave though, I do have some self-advertising to do. This video is already a self-indulgence as it is, so I might as well do some more advertising, because if you guys are watching this long, then I'm sure you don't care about this next part. I stream a few days a week on Twitch, and I was partnered there about 3 months ago. If you have Amazon Prime, you're able to subscribe to my Twitch stream for free. This costs you $0, gets you access to my subscriber emotes on all of Twitch and Discord, you get a song and shout out on stream, and it signs you up for subscriber games on the weekends. If you want to get some Titanfall, Rainbow Six, Mass Effect, or whatever other games in, this is the best way to do it. I get some free money from these subscriptions, which is honestly the main reason why I'm asking for them. So if you've got a couple of minutes and you have Amazon Prime and you're not using your Twitch Prime sub on anyone, set up your Twitch Prime account and you can support me for free. Or if you don't want to support me, you can support other Titanfall content creators like Darkness or GameSager or whatever other partnered streamers that you want on Twitch. Even if they're not in Titanfall, doesn't matter. Just if you have Amazon Prime, you should be using your Twitch Prime every month because it helps somebody out. It gives them a couple of bucks for free, costs you nothing. Part of that money even goes to charity, so it's all around a great thing for you to be doing if you have Amazon Prime. The only bad part about Twitch Prime is that you have to manually renew it every single month. So if you guys want to continuously support me, you have to come back and watch my stream at least once a month to click that subscribe button all over again. Other than that, that's the only annoyance. It's a great program. You guys should participate in it. And I would hope that you guys decide to help me out. And if you don't, that's fine. But you really ought to be using Twitch Prime just in general. It's a great system. Anyways, everyone, thank you for supporting me on both Twitch and YouTube. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care, pilots.